everybody. I know we late. How y'all doing? Um, on today's show, we got some details on the Usher Chris Brown fight that broke out earlier today. That's a break. Excuse me. That's some breaking news. Jamil is slamming Hollywood peers. Well, slamming her Hollywood peers. My bad, for celebrating Karl Lagerfeld at the Met Gala. RuPaul's Drag Race star Shangela has been accused of the R word. We broke that last year. We got an update, so we're gonna definitely talk about that. Kim Kardashian is hiring an acting coach due to the producer of the show, and Cher looked like she's single. So all that and more, they're gonna wear because the rundown starts now. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the rundown. I'm your host, Chris Avalon, and oh my god, I was trying to add a picture, but I couldn't figure out how to wait. Hold on. I'm busy trying to upload the stuff to the show to let people know that we are live, live in color. So give me 1 second, and then we will definitely start. Me trying to multitask and do 50 million things while we doing a damn live show. It ain't easy, girl, but we gonna make it work. Okay, I got it. Sent through. Now we can start the show. Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to a brand new episode of The Rundown. It's your boy Chris Avalon. And yes, this show basically what we do is what we do every damn week. We basically just sit and break down all the latest hot topics, all the tea that's been going on in entertainment, LGBT news, you name it. I gave you all a bit of a teaser of what we're going to be talking about on today's show. I was trying to connect it to my television, the whole monitor thing, but it doesn't want to. It was working, then it stopped working. So I'm just going, just pull from my phone all my notes in this, that, and the third, which is fine. So we have a lot that we're going to be getting to today. We're going to be talking about the exclusive details behind what happened at Chris Brown's birthday party, where there was apparently a physical altercation between him and Usher. We got some news on the Met Gala. I want to give my thoughts on that. I want to also talk about, follow up on the whole Kim Kardashian backlash that she received from doing getting the gig of American Horror Story. She hired an acting coach. Hopefully, this acting coach can produce some kind of a miracle or some type of spell that they can conjure. So we got that. We got a lot of Drag Race news. Speaking of Drag Race, we had the story about Shangela being accused of sexual assault. One of the production assistants from the show has filed a suit. And then we have some news on Russell Tovey, who has some stuff to say about looking. We have this story on Matthew Lawrence, who said that a director propositioned him, to strip down and dress scantily clad in his hotel room, and if he did what he wanted, I guess fulfilled his little fantasy, as a lot of these perverted people in Hollywood want people to do with no power. He was going to get a star in a Marvel movie. So I have my thoughts on that. I was going to bring that up last week, but we had so many topics that we were discussing. I was like, there's no way in hell we're about to do that. Plus, we have a lot of stuff. So without further ado, I don't want to drag this on anymore. Let's get right into the gig. So, there was some exclusive details that, because first of all, I haven't been home all day. I actually went to visit my parents. So when I talked to production, and we have a little group chat, and it basically let me know that there was some stuff that was going on regarding this incident. So I didn't even know about it. So I wound up getting this sent to me on the phone, and I clicked it open, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And then of course I'm like, "Here we go, Chris Brown, up to his typical antics. Don't know how to deal with his fucking anger. Don't know how to handle his liquor. I believe the boy is on some shit. I don't even think it's just alcohol. I think he has a serious booger sugar addiction, allegedly. And I think Chris Brown seriously needs help. But before I give my full on opinion on this, so according to reports, TMZ ended up obtaining footage of Chris, Usher, and many others. They were partying at the Skate Rock City roller rink in Las Vegas because um, roller rinks seem to be Usher's thing now. Like you see him wearing roller skates in his Vegas residency. They had the thing where down in Atlanta, and I get it when you're from the South and stuff. That roller skating and stuff was a big thing back then, and I think they're sort of trying to, well, not sort of, I think they're trying to bring it back. And why not? There was a lot of great things that I grew up with that I feel like it was so simple that you could just bring back. So anyway, so I believe that Usher threw Chris a party for his birthday, and everything was fine until apparently they said the word is, and this is from B Scott, so I have to give B Scott her flowers for reporting on this. I don't know why this story is freezing. I hope it doesn't affect my um, video, whatever. But yeah, Tiana Taylor was apparently involved. So what they're saying is, I don't know why it's okay. It's not moving, but anyway. So apparently they were saying that what had happened was Chris Brown was not pleased that Tiana Taylor was at the event and had asked her to leave because he believed, they said it stemmed basically from the American Music Awards. Now, if you guys remember, at the American Music Awards, Chris Brown says that he was supposed to perform a Michael Jackson medley, which everybody was here for. They were like, you know what? He is someone who admires Michael Jackson. He is like, one of the things I'll say about Chris Brown, he may be an okay singer, but the one thing he does relatively well is he could dance his ass off. So we can't take that from him. And I believe that's why they wanted him for the tribute. So basically it says, B. Scott has said that Chris Brown was angered by seeing Tiana at the party and wanted her gone. The beef stems from Chris canceled American Music Awards, American Idol child. That shit need to be canceled. American Music Awards Michael Jackson tribute performance. Apparently, Tiana was involved in the performance in some capacity, but pulled out due to other obligations. And Chris feels like it's a big reason as to why the performance ultimately got canceled. Now, when Chris saw Tiana at his party, he approached her to air out his grievances and tell her to leave. Tiana made it clear that Chris's behavior was out of line, repeatedly telling him he was on one, suggesting that he was under the influence of something. Yeah, we know what it was, girl. Because I don't think it was alcohol. And we known for years, like, Chris be giving off, he love that narcotic. In the words of Ike Turner, and what's love got to do with it? Now, Chris didn't take too well to Tiana's pushback. Oh, of course he didn't, because it's a woman talking back to him. He having flashbacks to when his daddy used to beat his mama and when he used to beat Rihanna in that damn car, which basically was the catapult of the decline of his career. The beginning of the end, I should say, of his career. And the verbal altercation escalated, prompting Usher to step in and defend Tiana. Chris and his crew eventually had enough and decided to take things outside. That's when Usher followed Chris and his crew out to the parking lot. The altercation reportedly resumed, and that's when, according to B. Scott's sources, CB, that would be Chris Brown, and his crew beat Usher's ass. Y'all had to put it like that. We're told not only did Usher have a bloody broken nose, but that he also had bruised, injured ribs. Neither Chris, Usher, or Tiana have publicly acknowledged the altercation, which was first reported by Hollywood Unlocked earlier this morning. Now, both Usher and Chris Brown are scheduled to perform at today's Lovers and Friends Festival in Las Vegas. Well, I did see footage that Usher did appear at the Lovers and Friends Festival. He was performing, I think it was in daylight. The sun was out. There's a video that's floating around that you know, he was performing. And Usher made it seem like all was well with the world. Like there was no beef, there was no issues. It's all love here, typical, he is such a showman and so Hollywood. Like Usher is not gonna come out and make it seem like there was some drama going on, even though we got evidence, of the situation. Well, we don't really have evidence, but we seen like there seemed to be a little tension when they were talking. But I seen like on the Shade Room had posted a video of Usher, and he seemed fine. The nose didn't look broke to me, and I ain't see no cuts and no blood and no bruises. Well, Usher is dark skin. You can hide a little bruisation if you want to. You could throw some, have somebody put some makeup on you, clean you up. I didn't see no cuts and no bruises on him, so he looks fine. But they're saying that he suffered from bruised and possibly broken ribs. And so, yeah, he was there. And to me, it's like, you know what? It's unfortunate that we're at a time where this boy, Chris, does not know how to handle his anger. My thing is, if you have an issue with someone, you better hope a pretty mom was there, because he probably would have whooped that ass. Maybe he wasn't there. Chris, typical behavior, stepping on woman as the aggressor. It doesn't look good on you because you have this ongoing reputation. It's feeding into that negative reputation that you have. This whole bad boy wannabe Bobby Brown image is not becoming of you. Someone who's so immensely talented just ruins everything about his music and being an artist because of the shenanigans, because you don't know how to act when you're around people. So I will keep you guys abreast of the story as it develops, because this is basically what we have right now, but it's unfortunate because here's the thing. I know y'all wanted that versus between Chris Brown and Usher. We did want the versus, but this ain't the one we asked for. But I guess, since Mercury is that bitch, she's a retrograde and she want to show up and show out. I guess when you put things out in the universe of what we want, we may not get it the way we want it, but when we get it, it is. So we got it in the form of a scuffle. And the weird part is, Usher has shown mad respect for someone like Usher, because Usher's been around longer. Usher is older. Usher's what? He'll be 45 this year. Still look like he's 25. That black don't cry. I'll tell you, my generation, we don't age, yeah. So shout out to him. And like I said before, I will keep y'all guys abreast of the story as it continues to develop, because I'm sure there will be more stuff coming out within the coming days of what happened and all that stuff. I'm not going to TMZ because TMZ, y'all love going after, like whenever it comes to Chris Brown doing some shit, y'all love salivating at the mouth of the tea. So I'm gonna look into the other blogs, because I'm not gonna give you all that credit. I'm gonna try not to. So okay, let's get into this other story, which is about well, the reason why I'm bringing up the Blade reboot is because it kind of goes in with the writer's strike, and then lets me bring that up. So I don't know if y'all been paying attention, living on a rock, whatever, but yeah, there's a writer's strike going on in Hollywood, which is crippling the industry. And I don't know how they feel that this is the perfect time to just thumb your nose up at writers, like they are the backbone of Hollywood and the industry as a whole. Because if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. That comes from, Richie Mama from Family Matters, Thelma Hawkins. She said in the episode of Family Matters, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. Funnily, I remember that. But anyway. And that's true to life. It's sort of like, if there is no script, what can actors reference? I mean, yeah, we have people who improv, but that ain't the same. Actors need a script. You need writers to create for these movies. And the way Hollywood is coming across with stuff, y'all playing in our face. So now, mind you, I should say about Blade, it's already gone through its series of troubles. The original director dropped out. They've gone through a string of rewrites. They have a new director, someone from Lovecraft Country, and I think they brought in a new writer from True Detective. So Marvel Studios is shutting down pre-production on its vampire thriller starring Mahershala Ali. The movie was supposed to start filming at the end of the month. They got to shut down again because of the writer's strike, because the script's not finished. Now, how you about to start shooting a movie in a month and y'all still working on the damn script? Y'all been working on this shit for 3 years already. Developing this movie. Series of rewrites. This is embarrassing because Marvel once upon a time had it all together. But now y'all out here looking like Boo Boo the Fool. Your phase 4 was trash. The only thing I liked that came out of phase 4 was Captain was it Miss Marvel. That was the only show I liked. And I feel like her being in Captain Marvel 2, she's gonna be the scene stealer. I ain't going for Brie Larson. I will go for Brie Larson when she's in Fast X. But I don't particularly care for her as Captain Marvel. And I'll check out Monica Rambeau. But Marvel, y'all are a mess over there. But I'm not gonna pick on Marvel. I'm gonna just talk about one Marvel movie that's having a lot of problems among many. So cast and crew members were notified, I believe, on Thursday that they were going to have the movie put on pause until the strike is over, and then we're going to come back. So the feature project, which has been paused once before, becomes the first tentpole movie impacted by the strike. Excuse me. Blade had recently hired True Detective creator Nick Pizzolatto to work on the script, but according to an insider, time simply ran out. The studio will restart the production once the strike is over. So now, what people don't realize is with this strike, a lot of the impact has been had on late night talk shows. Late night talk shows are daily. They need script writers because who do you think writes them opening monologues? Like sometimes you get the talent that'll actually chip in and help, but for the most part, they have writers who come up with all that stuff. They also said that one drama series, Showtime's Billions, halted production on Thursday due to picketing. Now, while some studios have 1 or 2 movies going into production, Marvel is seamlessly propping up the industry by planning on having 3 movies shooting at the same time. Not to mention 2 entries. Even with the Blade shutdown, it is gearing up for one of the busiest times in the company's history. Captain America: New World Order is currently filming in Atlanta. TV show Agatha: Coven of Chaos is also shooting in Atlanta, while fellow series Wonder Man is filming in LA. Deadpool 3 is expected to go in front of the cameras later this month in London, while Thunderbolts is set to hit Atlanta in June. As of now, Thunderbolts is still on track. Fantastic Four, which is in the midst of the most closely watched casting search since Marvel hired Tom Holland to play Spider-Man 8 years ago, damn, it's been that long, is on a January 2024 start date in London. That could change if the strike were to drag on and on for 6 months or more, though according to sources, that's seen as unlikely. Well, I don't know how y'all gonna try to predict that. Sidebar. I'm glad you said that because I literally said the same thing. So production went and wrote and said the view is actually good without writers. And you want to know something? I literally said, I'm watching, I'm like, whoever they got over there, y'all need to not bring their ass back because the show actually works. Mind you, I don't need Whoopi reminding me every 5 seconds. We don't have writers, bitch. We know there's a writer's strike going on. However, I do feel like it feels a little more spontaneous when it's like, oh, well, we got this topic coming up. What do you guys like? Really, it forces you to improvise and really go in and just like come up with stuff at the top of your head, which is like what I do here. And I feel like that's the fun part instead of, oh, let's just, follow what some writer wrote. And a lot of times the writing, Whoopi rolls her eyes at some of the writing. So it's like, maybe y'all writers is not good over there at the View. That's no shade. But I live for the writers. But yeah, I do agree. The show does feel fresher without writers. But that's an exception. These other shows need writers. Now, speaking of Fantastic Four, I have heard that they got the rumors that Reed Richards will be played by Adam Driver, which I could actually see because I like Adam Driver. And Sue Storm will be played by Margot Robbie. I like Margot Robbie. She's in everything these days. Well, she ain't doing Harley Quinn no more, so she could use another superhero. My thing is, I really wanted John Krasinski and his wife, but And look, my top core four would always be John Krasinski as Reed Richards, Sue Storm be played by his real life wife Emily Blunt. I still want Zac Efron as Johnny Storm, and I want John Cena as Thing. That's what I want. That's my dream team. That's my core four. Shout out to Scream Six for the core four thing. But anyway, back to the Blade thing. I'm really rooting for Blade. I know Mahershala is like frustrated that this movie keeps getting pushed back. There's so many issues. The script isn't where it needs to be. It's just a mess over there. There's so much of the Tomb of Dracula comic books that they could be pulling from. And this, y'all want, I don't know what the hell's going on over there. I think maybe what it is that Bob Iger is just trying to get things on track because Bob Chapek fucked up the thing. So I know y'all need time. Maybe y'all could use this time to fix whatever y'all need. Maybe y'all can't move. And another thing that I'm hearing too, SAG is negotiating their contracts right now, and so is the DGA. That's the Directors Guild of America. So it's not just the writers that are, trying to get their money. Directors are renegotiating, and actors are renegotiating. And if these agencies can't get what they want out of these greedy ass studios, because these corporations are sitting there giving themselves kickbacks and percentages, which is what Bob Chapek was doing over at Disney. And I hear that's what they was doing over at Warner Brothers too. Home of HBO Max. So yeah, it's just crazy. But for those of you, and like I said, I stand with the WGA. So for those of you not familiar with what's happening, maybe I should explain to you guys. Now, the Writers Guild of America, which is WGA for short, argues that writers have been negatively impacted by the streaming era, and that the studios, including Netflix and Amazon Prime Video, have created a gig economy inside a union workforce. And this is according to a statement published by Deadline. Now, for those who wonder what that means, it's basically like, so for instance, when you write for a network, like say for instance, SWAT, which I just heard today, they canceled SWAT, and Shamar Moore is upset about it because he was sitting there saying like, here we go with the whole, like there's a lack of diversity already and y'all out here canceling the show. And I actually liked SWAT when it was on. I don't know what's going on over at network TV. Y'all are just a mess. Maybe network TV is a dying breed. But anyway, back to this. So basically, when you write for a streaming service, which usually consists of 8 to 10 episodes, you only get a flat fee for that. You don't get paid off the residuals of it, meaning the more times people watch it, you don't get a check like you would every time somebody would stream your episode or watch your episode on a network channel. When you write for a network, so say you write a script for a 22 episode season, you get paid for every episode that you write. It's not like that in streaming. So people just want a fair wage. So the WGA is seeking a base pay increase for writers, but also wants a new deal on residual payments, which means, like I said, they want royalties from the streaming, which they're not getting. So it's like they get a flat fee when they write for a show that's only going to be on a streaming channel. I do think that writers should get royalties. That's their work. This is their creativity from their brain pouring into their fingers that they're typing up. Now, currently, writers are paid more for broadcast shows that are a hit, while streaming shows earn them a flat amount regardless of success. Literally what I just said, but I'm just explaining it. The WGA also wants to ensure jobs for its writers, accusing studios of abusing mini rooms, which shows are written with fewer writers or over a compressed timeline. There are also concerns about AI, with the WGA concerns studios could train AI on writers' work or rewrite scripts using the technology. Now, May 1st, WGA announced that it had failed to come to an agreement over suitable working conditions for their members. The union said the decision to strike was made after negotiations produced a wholly insufficient response to the existential crisis writers are facing. Look, give these people their damn money. I don't understand why it's so hard for y'all to negotiate. These studios make so much money as it is. Maybe except Paramount Plus, because I heard what on the curve is it's probably going to take them another 5 years to break even with them bleeding through all their money. And that the biggest suggestion people say is that Paramount Plus needs to shut down. And maybe pull a Sony and outsource your product. So Spider-Man instead of Sony creating the Sony Plus or whatever, we're gonna give our Spider-Man movie, we're gonna put it on Disney Plus, we're gonna put it on Netflix, we're gonna put it on all these other places. Which I think is smart. Outsource your shit, make your coin for your studio, because the streaming services need it. Every studio don't need a streaming service. You could have saved a whole lot more just by outsourcing your material. But anyway, so what people need to realize that the WGA last went on strike back in 2007, and it lasted over 100 days. So when y'all out here trying to make predictions of how long you think something gonna last, I don't think y'all should be doing that, because you never know what's gonna happen. I was like, hold on, can I get to? I was trying to go to the restream thing. Anyway, moving right along. Did I freeze or no? Wait, why is it saying it didn't load? What was that? Oh, okay, we're back. I don't know. I'm seeing things apparently. Anyway, let's move on. So we're gonna go from the WGA, and the whole writer's strike. And you know what? Shout out to all the actors that are actually standing by. Oh, we got a new look. It's also the Chris. Well, I got a new Instagram. It's the Chris Avalon _ because apparently I lost my old Instagram. It's not up no more. They done got rid of it. They did something. I don't know. So I got to start over. But anyway, so I stand with the writers. I appreciate all the actors that are out there standing with the writer, because they appreciate the writer. They know the amount of work that goes into being a writer, and that without the writers, the actors have no voice. And so a lot of them currently can't work because there's no script. And a lot of these movies, they, while the script may be done now and you can shoot your film, sometimes when it comes to certain types of dialogue that doesn't work, you need rewrites. Correct? So I don't know how Hollywood's thinking, oh yeah, we don't need writers right now, we're good. But it's like, but what if the actor starts saying the lines and that line that's written doesn't work? What do? Do you just you allow your actors to improvise and y'all go along with it? Because then some studios love to have their writers on standby, meaning that they're on the set, so that way when something needs to be changed, they can actually go in and do what they need to do real quick. So good luck to y'all on the future movies, future TVs. I heard soaps are about to be affected. General Hospital only has a month's worth of episodes filmed. I believe it said Days of Our Lives has enough episodes filmed to last the entire summer. So they good over there because they shoot way in advance. But yeah, if this thing don't end, y'all favorite shows could be affected. Like General Hospital, like I was saying, they only got enough probably till the end of, they said the end of the month, which I'm assuming would be June, not May. So let's just go there and say that. From May to June, they got enough stuff. After that, you're in danger, girl. So yeah, like I said before, I'm gonna keep you guys abreast because I'm sure this thing is gonna go on and on and on. They're still out there protesting, as they should, because people have a right to have a fair wage in this country. Now, two things happened in the same day. So we had the WGA and the strike, and then we had the Met Gala, which of course I was partaking in and posting pictures and doing other stuff. But then, they were out honoring Karl Lagerfeld. And I will admit, I absolutely forgot that Karl Lagerfeld was problematic. I forgot all the stuff he said because, when you're done dead, when you're dead, or whatever the case is, I'm like, okay. Out of sight, out of mind. But the funny thing was, I didn't even know that the thing was Karl Lagerfeld until I started seeing, and I watched a little clip on TV, but for the most part, I was looking at the pictures and posted my favorite photos, and we'll get to my faves in a second. But one person who was, everybody was up there on that red carpet eating and loving and all the other stuff. Child, can I just say, I got to give an honorable mention to the Roach. that will walk the red carpet. Only in New York can you get a roach on a red carpet, and photographers want to take a damn picture of the damn roach. And yeah, shout out to Lil Nas X, who actually is going to be on The Bold and the Beautiful. I actually saw when he was filming it. I think he was with James Corden when he filmed. I saw that those behind the scenes pictures, whatever that was all over social media. I think it came out last month, but they're talking about it now, and the episode's probably coming up. But anyway, so I'd forgotten about it. It was out of sight, out of mind. I was like, okay, we got to definitely talk about it this week because I had to gather all the things, which I do have in the article. But one person who is calling out Hollywood over their hypocrisy and their selective outrage when it comes to is Jameela Jamil, who was in She-Hulk, who was also in what's the other show that we watched? Oh, Legendary. She was on that show, which I'm still pissed at. Speaking of streaming services, HBO damn Max, who canceled the show and then removed all the episodes. I'm like, why? You just are like erasing history. You could have left the damn thing up there. Why'd you go and just delete the whole damn thing like as if Legendary never existed? Because what if I want to go back and watch the House of T-She pop, dip, and spin? I can't watch it no more. Anyway, so Jameela Jamil, who I consider an activist, an actor and an activist, is calling out the fashion industry over their selective outrage regarding cancel culture and celebrating problematic fashion designer Karl Lagerfeld. Now, shout out to the rap for this story. Last night, Hollywood and Fashion said the quiet part out loud when a lot of famous feminists chose to celebrate at the highest level a man who was publicly cruel to women, to fat people, to immigrants, and to sexual assault survivors. This is what Jameela wrote in an Instagram post. And all the women's publications and spectators online chose to gleefully ignore it. Now, Jameela wrote in her caption that her post isn't about cancel culture or Karl, but it's basically about showing how selective cancel culture is within liberal policies. Saying, and I quote, it's about showing why people don't trust liberals because of slippery tactics and double standards like this. Now, several notable faces were missing from the Met Gala, including Blake Lively, Zendaya, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, Miley Cyrus, Hailey Bieber, Joe Jonas, Sophie Turner, but his brother was there, and his wife. We had Priyanka Chopra Jonas and Nick Jonas on the red carpet. Also missing Harry Styles and Timothée Chalamet. Speaking of which, that Doom 2 trailer looks epic. I cannot wait for that movie. Funnily enough, I could have sworn Lady Gaga was there. Was she there or was I bugging? Because I could have sworn I saw her on the red carpet. Unless I'm seeing things. Anyway. So when Lagerfeld was first announced on the Met Gala theme in September, Jamil posted textual evidence of Lagerfeld making controversial comments about the hashtag #MeToo movement, body image, weight, and more. Now, here's some of the stuff he said, just so y'all can get an idea of the type of troll this Nazi sympathizer was. Of sexual assault survivors in the Me Too movement, he said in 2018, and I quote, if you don't want your pants pulled about, don't become a model. Join a nunnery. There'll always be a place for you in the convent. They're recruiting even. In 2017, on the Holocaust and an open border policy of Germany and Syrians, he said, one cannot, even if there are decades between them, kill millions of Jews so you could bring millions of their worst enemies in their place. In 2010, he photographed model Claudia Schiffer in blackface and an afro wig. And in 2009, he told the German magazine Focus regarding runway models, no one wants to see curvy women. Now, we had a year to course correct here and not award the highest honor possible to a known bigot. And everyone just decided all of a sudden we can separate the art from the artist when convenient. This is what Jamil said on Tuesday. It's on rule for us and another rule for everybody else. Last night, we relinquished our right to be taken at all seriously about anything important. Jamil also called out the general public as well as Hollywood for going along with the celebration of Lagerfeld. And and you know what? I'm with it. When you're right, you're right. Because I was like, how do I approach this? Because it's like you could love the fashions and you could love the art, but at some point, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that's the way I see it. Oh wait, there's what was it that she said in the I thought it was another thing that I saw that she had said in the article. It says, this isn't about cancel culture. It's not, oh wait, I think I read that one. Because of slippery tags and double standards like this, and it's not just Hollywood here, the general public online participated and were entirely complicit in the erasure of the truth last night. They replaced their pitchforks with spoons last night to lap that shit right up. If we carry on like this, don't be shocked when we lose the next election. So I think that was the part that I didn't see that was a part of that Instagram. But she's right. It's like we cannot be mad at one thing and then okay with another. I know the fashion industry has its issues and they're not perfect and no one's expecting them to be. But there needs to come a point in time where people are held accountable for their actions. He also was a gay man who didn't believe in gays adopted. Self-hatred much? So Karl Lagerfeld is not the person, and then women say that nobody's saying pulling knickers about or whatever, meaning what? That, oh, if somebody, are you meaning like if somebody's like trying to fit you in clothes and things, or you say it's perfectly okay for a man to grab a woman by the pussy without her permission and to just sexually assault her? I bet you he voted for Trump if he actually had an American visa or could vote here. So he was problematic, and I was sitting there like, there's so many other people y'all could have, paid tribute to. You could have paid tribute to what the hell's her damn name? Vivienne Westwood. You could have paid tribute to Marc Jacobs. You could have paid tribute to, I was gonna say Coco Chanel, but she was a damn Nazi sympathizer. She was fucking them too. You could have paid homage to, somebody. You could have paid homage to Jean-Paul Gaultier. Madonna would have showed up for that one. Designers who I recall are problematic, besides Karl Lagerfeld, Dolce & Gabbana. We wouldn't give them either. Remember what they said about gay marriage and gays adopting? That's problematic too. So there are plenty of designers that you could celebrate, but why of all people? I understand like he's a great architect and he creates beautiful fashions. But when you are discriminating against the very people that you need to put those fucking fashions on their bodies, is when it's a problem. But what do I know, right? So shout out to Kim Kardashian, who, while she has her series of haters, particularly in the acting world, last week we did talk about Patti LuPone and Sharon Stone being upset over Kim getting a role on the upcoming season of American Horror Story. Oh yeah, I forgot that I was supposed to do my faves. I'm glad you reminded me. So before we get to the Kim Kardashian thing, child, what is going on? It slipped my mind. I got my top 5 favorite looks. We'll do the women's. Oh, she blurry. Oh, there it is. So we have Doja Cat. We'll start from left to right. So we got Doja Cat. I loved her look. The whole meow meow thing was a little annoying. Lil Nas X started doing the same damn thing. So clearly them two had a specific memo that they were trying to go by. So I have Doja Cat, Janelle Monáe. I hope I'm saying her name right. Anak Yai or Ye. I've seen her. I'm not familiar with she is. Assuming she's not. Let me know down in the comments what her actual occupation is. But because I don't really follow the new girls like that, I'm from the old school. I know the legendary supermodels back in the day would be Claudia Schiffer, Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista. Like those are the models that when I was little, and a kid growing up, those are the models that I saw or that I knew were supermodels, not these Gigi Hadids and fucking Hailey Biebers, the children of celebrities. Like that's not my generation of modeling or models. But she's fierce. I'm living for the skin, beautiful chocolate skin. The outfit was over. Then we got Cardi B. Some people trying to say had copied off of Nicki Minaj. I'm like, no. Y'all really love reaching. I need to start calling some of you bitches Mr. Fantastic, because y'all love reaching for a moment to try to compare Cardi B to Nicki Minaj. To me, Cardi B looked like a one of those dolls on top of a birthday cake. And then I forgot to mention Jenna Ortega all the way on the end. I was loving Jenna Ortega's look. And now for the men's, we could pull that up. So those are pretty much my looks or whatever, my favorite looks. I'm just waiting on production to pull up the men's looks. If not, I can tell y'all my looks. We're having some technical issues and things tonight, so with my men's looks, it was Pedro Pascal, Lil Nas X, Bad Bunny, Manu Rios, who is from Elite. I actually like him. He's gorgeous too. And Jeremy Pope, who I live for with the cape. Somebody said he does the same silhouette with his particular look. I thought the Bad Bunny outfit was cute. He had the hair slicked back. He had like his back out. It was like a mixture of masculine and feminine with that look. Jeremy Pope with Karl Lagerfeld's face on his cape. I love the overall aesthetic and look of it. I know he was there with Oliver Rousteing, the designer. So I did like his look, but I've heard people say, like, one of my friends was like, he always has that same particular silhouette, that look, whenever he hits the red carpet. I loved Pedro Pascal and his little slutty knee. He was giving full-on Angelina Jolie with the leg. And I like Lil Nas X. People was trying to shit on Lil Nas X look. Oh, he doing too much. I'm like, doing too much. It's fashion. It's the Met Gala. Would you want people to show up in jeans and a fucking t-shirt? Like, that's not how the Met Gala works. So I don't know what y'all was talking about, what y'all mean. But yeah, everybody looked great. Loved Bad Bunny's look. Loved Jeremy Pope's look. Loved Manu Rios, who was like an up and coming. And speaking of which, Manu is going to be in a new movie with it's a Pedro Almodovar short film where Pedro Pascal, speaking of which, who's in the picture, is playing someone who was in a relationship back in the Disney. It's a gay cowboy movie, short film with Ethan Hawke. They play Ethan Hawke and Pedro play lovers. So I'm definitely looking forward to that when that comes out. And Lil Nas X is just doing Lil Nas X. I know that had to be a bitch getting all that damn paint off. But I saw them at the after party, so shout out to them. And let's get to this Kim Kardashian topic. So take two with Kim. Yeah, so we know veteran actors Patti LuPone and Sharon Stone were pretty much pissed over Kim getting an acting gig on the 12th season of American Horror Story. She wants everyone to know she is indeed taking the craft seriously. So seriously, how serious is she? So seriously that she's working with an acting coach so she doesn't look dead behind the eyes on the small screen. Now, earlier this year, Ryan Murphy, I should say, announced he had cast Kardashian in the upcoming season of his American Horror Story anthology series. Now, while the storyline details have been kept close to the chest, pun intended or no pun intended, Murphy expressed plenty of excitement over Kim's role, teasing that the writers have crafted a fun, stylish, and ultimately terrifying character for Northwest's mom to play. Murphy may have been thrilled, but some of his past collaborators, as stated, like Patti LuPone and Sharon Stone, were pretty much put off by the whole thing, claiming Kardashian was taking jobs from actors who studied and suffered for their work. And like, not to negate their feelings, but if you think Kris Jenner's daughter isn't going to work herself to death in order to be deserving of a bit part on a camp TV show, well, then you clearly haven't seen that Variety interview. But here's the thing. I've gone back and forth about Kim and the whole thing of whether or not is it deserving, is it not deserving. I feel like we're in a new era right now where people are just, it's not even about the acting anymore. It's not about having to pull yourself up and take those acting classes and go on the audition and hope you get it. A lot of it is nepotism. A lot of it is stunt casting. And we know ain't no bigger stunt queen than Ryan Murphy. I mean, he might be a little neck and neck with people like Andy Cohen and Carlos King. That's the triple trifecta of stunt queen. So, of course, he's gonna pull stunts and shows to get y'all to want to watch American Horror Story because he knows that probably ratings wise, and not only ratings wise, but script wise or story wise, he really doesn't have anything to offer with these American Horror Story shows. Like, the show never has any specific focus of what it's about. It seems like y'all just throw whatever at the wall to see what sticks, and y'all just throw it in the show, and y'all expect us to accept it. And I'm like, I'm the type of person that just, I need to be engulfed in the story. And when they did the one about the gays being killed or whatever around Pride, and it was like ripping off cruising and all these influences in there, I was hoping this was gonna be a good season. But no, I ended up feeling it felt empty, anticlimactic, typical Ryan Murphy fare. But I feel like at this point, what Kim is going to have to do is, because she already has a stigma about her, oh, you're just some whore who got famous off a sex tape and became this big reality star who ushered into this ginormous empire. And now here you go trying to dibble and dab in my world, which would be acting. So I could definitely see the frustration of people who work so hard for gigs, and it's like I could have crushed that role, but here you go with Ryan Murphy or creators writing things specifically for certain people. Now, the only thing I'm curious about is how in the hell did Harriet Tubman of prison reform? How the hell she gonna have time to free black men on death row, study acting, run a $1 billion company, and raise 4 kids? She got help with the nannies. It just seems like a lot. But now it's like I just feel like she's out here trying to prove herself. That it's like, oh, I'm not just going half-ass. Ain't no half-stepping with me. I'm going to actually jump in and I'm going to do the job. I'm going to do what needs to be done so that when you guys take me seriously in the craft, that is not familiar territory. And if she's able to pull it off, great. But if she doesn't, when her episode airs, we'll just go on Twitter and we'll drag her ass. And cuss Ryan Murphy, I'll be like, bitch, you better not give no other reality star a damn job. You did it first time with Nene Leakes on your other programs, and here you doing it with Kim. So good luck, girl. And let's move on to this story. So this is a juicy one. I remember when I first started talking about this online, my social medias, it really sparked a big debate. And I was like, oh, I'm on to something. So world-renowned gay underwear designer Andrew Christian has unleashed a line of underwear for thick men called, wait for it, a little longer, it's called Thick. Creative, isn't it? About as creative as the tight-ass underwear he be designing. And, I had to write this article because of all the backlash and everything I was seeing online. I'm like, you know what? This is definitely a story that needs to be told. Now, while we should be celebrating the fact that a mainstream gay underwear brand is creating a line of underwear for bigger men, especially launching a larger size AC underwear line, which what I don't understand. Why are we calling an underwear line thick and you don't even have you could have created it for what's the you could have created an Andrew Christian line. And the funny part is, and the picture you see of the guy who actually is heavy set up here, the underwear don't even fit him. Now there's two people in this campaign that I'm well, three people that I'm familiar with. The second from the left, that's Zaddy, Go-Go Zaddy. He was on that show Go-Go for the Goal. He's also a well-known adult film star with an OnlyFans and everything. And he does he's a go-go dancer. Then you got Cake Moss, who's in there, also a drag queen. And then the one that's in the middle with the beard, the facial hair, the big thick goatee, and the tattoo on the arm, that's Renee. That's Renee Rosales. I follow him on Instagram. So a lot of people have a problem saying that this picture is not a true representation of diversity and body positivity, which is what Andrew is trying to push. They said he definitely missed the mark with this underwear line. Now, a friend of mine who actually did some modeling for the brand years ago, he stated on his Facebook that the top AC featured models are always white, light-skinned Latinos, Asians, and biracial men. There's no one of a darker hue featured in the shoot. Now, in some of the posts about the Andrew Christian line, someone wrote by the name of Baby Himbo, keep our name out of your mouth, and he's an animated character throwing tomatoes. Another person wrote, the fact that black men still even buy these flavorless sweatshop panties boggles my mind. Another wrote, so a line called thick is between a small to extra large and 2XL while supplies last. Clearly this was not planned out well and just a way to make money without providing quality or the proper sizing for those that may be considered thick. Another person wrote, also they use Asian sizes, so the 2XL is really just a large. So yeah, a lot of people are talking about this as a joke. You should be disgusted. Your 2X, which is now the biggest size you offer, not thick, by the way, is smaller than the 1X. I just feel like this is just some sort of gimmick. Say that 10 times fast for Andrew Christian, because some people want it. Why they don't have? That's what it says. Would be nice if there were some brown skin colors present. LMAO, especially having a title of this comes from. Considering the title of this comes from AAVE. I don't know what AAVE means, but okay. Bias Carter wear. We support black-owned businesses over here. That's from Ishmael Mayhew. Wait, so there's actually I never heard of Carter wear. I may have to look into that. Now, before I get to my opinion, I just want to say this. Now, there were some people that said that they liked it, that they're going to actually buy the underwear. Now, my friend, adult film star Ray Diesel, wrote in my comments when I posted this that he was asked to be a part of the shoot, but he couldn't do it because of scheduling conflicts. And yeah, he's been traveling all over the damn United States and abroad, hunching people for that OnlyFans coin. He got content to make and bills to pay. Now, I should also point out, because I saw that this on Queerty, so I took the quote. So they reached out to Andrew for a statement, and his spokesperson, Jeff White, said the following. Saying Ben Resnick, one of the models in the thick photo, is African American. I'm sure he loves hearing that he isn't black enough. AndrewChristian.com has always had a huge range of all types of models. We tried to okay, here's the thing. Yes, he may be considered African American, and yes, he may be black and may identify as those things. However, We all know the type of black y'all go for. That's the one that's always at the end. That's like behind daddy. And another thing, how are you doing an underwear line, but most of your models are naked? Make that make sense. Yeah, you black, but you're a light skinned black man. Like people are like, we see enough of light skinned, racially ambiguous people of color getting modeling gigs, representation. They're the face of a company, but you don't want to put any dark people on your thing. And funny enough, you white folks run around getting tans and shit, so y'all can look black as an ace of spade because it looks good on you. But then you won't bring these people of color into your brand. I don't know why people always consider to fight to go where they're not wanted. As quiet as it's kept, I don't wear Andrew Christian. Never been my favorite type of underwear. If I do wear underwear, it's going to be Breedwell. I love their jock straps. Or I will wear Nasty Pig. That's usually my judge. Anything else, I don't care about this line of underwear. I've never been I wanted to say Abercrombie and Fitch so bad. But funny enough, Andrew Christian's underwear company is like the equivalent of Abercrombie and Fitch's tight ass fashion. And to me, there's so many different other brands of underwear that's out here that y'all should be supporting. I don't know any LGBT people of color underwear lines, but if y'all know some, definitely drop it down in the comments. Help a brother out. Not me, as just me, just everybody. So that we can support those businesses. Let's not support just these little white businesses or whatever the case is. Some of these people who sit and slap their name on some cheap underwear they get from China and say they designed it. So I don't know. My thing is, if like anything that I do as a creator, you're never going to please anybody. Quiet as it's kept, I don't even think they had any intent on trying to please the audience. I just think they got lazy. They also said that they tried to introduce 2XL around 10 years ago, but the launch wasn't successful. We made the decision to reintroduce 2XL in 2021, and the launch was so overwhelmingly successful that we decided to launch a thick collection with a design and proportion, specifically for thicker body types. Where the people saying that it do not fit the body type of someone who is considered thick. And these days, what does thick even mean? Like the word keeps changing so much that people have hijacked it and it's become something completely different. It's kind of like woke. Woke started out as one thing and y'all done turned it into something completely negative and weaponized it. So I'm not faulting the models because the models are just so happy they got a gig, that they get to be on a billboard or something, or, you know, they get to be in this little group photo, they get their little cointadas and call it a day. So I don't blame them. I blame the marketing people. I blame Andrew Christian. I blame all those people who's behind the scenes that don't really see it for people of color, overweight people, that sort of thing. You have a specific look that you want for your models, and that's fine. That's your prerogative. It's the Andrew Christian brand, so therefore you could do whatever you want with your brand. But don't try to preach diversity and try to show that, and then talk about you want to give something to bigger men, but then you produce that, and the only person we see in the photo that you've been interviewing all over the place is the big girl that's in the ad. So good luck to y'all. I don't know. Just look, at the end of the day, just go out and let's support, you know, black owned or people of indigenous people of color, anything that if they're out here making stuff specifically for our community, let's support them. Let's do that. And yeah, because this is and look, no one's putting a gun to you guys' head to tell you to buy these tight ass underwear. There are plenty of other underwear companies out here y'all can support and y'all can give y'all money to. We don't need to give it to him. Okay, so we got this heavy ass story we're about to get into. So let's get into the Shangela story. So we got a follow up. I was not expecting that this lawsuit was going to come out on Wednesday. However, production was like, we got to get the interview. And I will talk about that in a second because I did have a conversation with Shangela's accuser, Dingham McGarrigle. But first, let me set up the situation. So, I'm sure y'all remember back in December, because I had to check, because the day that this story dropped, my TikTok video that I did on this, and the edited version, the 30-minute one that I have on my YouTube, I started getting alerts that people were commenting on them, and the numbers were going up again. So it's resurfacing. But y'all try to cuss my ass out and talk about, oh, I'm, all this other shit y'all was saying about me because I'm bringing up a story that has been floating around for the past year. You're welcome, because now everybody's fucking copying. But anyway, so what I want to do is I want to play off some old clips of what had went down last year, and then we're going to have ourselves a full circle moment. Roll the clip. I believe they had the comments and stuff turned off. I saw Hope Giselle posted OMG. There's a couple of, this was the screenshot that was sent to me. And they say it's not there no more. And then I believe there was he had slid into Johnny Ingram's DMs and wrote the following message. So yeah, this is what we have it right now is what his whole Me Too post on his Instagram, which I know people are saying that it's not true, that DJ is one of the sweetest people, that so on and so forth. We'll get into that in a minute. So then he wrote the following. He said, "Hey, I just want to thank you for listening to me when I told you what happened to me. I could tell that you and Steven were genuinely concerned and that your first thought wasn't the show. For that, I am thankful. I know the show is your baby. I ultimately decided not pursue DJ, and the lawyers I was talking to made it very clear that they wished to pursue the company, not DJ, meaning that they're going after HBO, which is the home of We're Here. So I guess they're going after HBO Max. Don't go after him. That's not at all what I wanted, but so I dropped it all together. But I did give notice about the advances made on me to a superior this past season, and my lawyers have my full written statement. The way that it does happen to someone else, they have the legal footing to come for the company. So I'm not a threat to the show, but that does make Shangela even more of a liability now. I can't say that I'm all surprised that she's still around. She is the poster girl for the show. I get that, but I would still start that process. Surely someone else has the same kind of presence. Anyway, it's just trying to look out for the show and to thank you for everything you've done to me these past few years. You're a huge part of why I felt like such a big... And the written statement and everything from what we heard based on, the latest report has been submitted to the attorney, in the case, hence the lawsuit to Shangela. So the first clip we played was where I was talking about the story. And now the second clip that we have is, me dragging those in the comments because they were trying to come for me because I reported the story. So we'll play that, and then we're going to talk about this part of the story that's the latest. Roll that clip. People who have a problem with how long I take to get to a fucking point, go somewhere else where they'll give it to you in 12 seconds or less. Because that ain't me. I say what the fuck I want to say on my own goddamn program. And if people don't like it, you know where the fuck you can go. And that's for anybody. I don't give a damn who it is. Because at the end of the day, you stood around long enough to watch the shit. So I don't care how long. It could be 2 seconds, 2 minutes, or 25 minutes. The fact of the matter is you watched, and thank you for being a fan. Now back to the rest of this other stuff. So I put the stuff out. Oh, hey, David laughed. He said, oh, she cursing. So I put the story and stuff. I talked about it. I said what I needed to say, and I put it out there. I was like, you know what? Whether or not this is true, she needs to get ahead of it. And also, just because somebody is not a damn show in, I ain't changing it. I said what I said. In the words of Lanithia Monique Leaks, I said what I said, and I stand by what the fuck I say. Now, I wasn't meaning no ill will to Shangela. I did not talk shit about her. I did not mean to say anything mean-spirited. But here's the thing. When something this big comes out that could be detrimental to your career and damaging, I do feel that you need to get ahead of it. I don't care who it is. I don't care if Jesus Christ came down off the cross and raped somebody. If it's true, he need to address it. Yeah, or Tamisha Iman. I said what I said. Hold on. I'm feeling very Dominique Jackson right now. Coat the throat, read the bitch. So, or I should say Electra, Abundance, Wintour, Evangelista, whatever last name she decided to take at the time when she basically read that lady in the Hamptons. So, I said all she needed to do was get ahead of it. Now, I did speak to Daniel, the guy who made the accusations. When I posted the video on my Instagram, he basically messaged me on Instagram. He DM'd me and was like, you know what, thank you for giving me a voice. He wanted to clarify some things. He said it did not happen during this current season. A lot of the alleged situation happened. Alleged, because you're not trying to sue my ass over no shit. I'm just reporting what is out there. It was alleged. He did slide up in the comments, and this video said, he said, I talked to the creators about what happened to me prior to that message being sent this past February, but this all happened to me in Louisiana while filming season 1, just to So the latest update on that. So yeah, I just want to lay out the foundation of the fact that I have been talking about this since last year, but now that the case, you know, the charges have, I was going to say the cases have been filed. The charges have been filed. Now more has come out. So RuPaul's Drag Race alum Shangela has been hit with some pretty serious sexual assault allegations, and the former production assistant that worked on the HBO docuseries We're Here accused the performer of rape. Now, according to the LA Times, Daniel McGarrigle reportedly filed the lawsuit on Wednesday in Los Angeles Superior Court against the drag star whose real name is Darius Jeremy Pierce, which is why they call him DJ Pierce. McGarrigle is seeking unspecified damages for sexual assault, sexual harassment, gender violence, false imprisonment, and negligence. McGarrigle, who is 39, also accused Pierce, 42, of violating the Ralph Act, which forbids hate violence as well as intimidation by threats of violence under California law. Now, speaking exclusively to People, Shangela hit back at the allegations, saying the following: I can't begin to explain how hurt and disgusted I am by these totally untrue allegations. They are personally offensive and perpetuate damaging stereotypes that are harmful not only to me, but also to my entire community. An external investigation into the embittered individuals' claims previously concluded that they were completely without merit. This newest fling is nothing but an attempt to shake down both me and a well-regarded television company, meaning Shangela, and we explained it in the previous video that I did months ago, well, last year, I'll just say, that Shangela, he was trying not to have her, I guess, put up in that, but the lawyers wanted to go after the network. But it just so happened she got caught up in it. No one should be fooled. It has no basis in fact or in law, and it will not succeed. Well, we'll see that when you show your ass up in court, LaQuifa, and plead your case. Because at the end of the day, both sides need to be heard. Two things can be true at the same time. But let me explain this. Daniel McGarrigle, if he says this happened to him, I feel like in the era, if anything that has taught us about this whole Me Too movement, is that whenever someone says that something serious as like sexual assault happened to them, we need to take them at their word and we need to believe them. So if he's filing this case and he's willing to go to court and stand 10 toes down on what had happened to him and what you allegedly did to him, then he has a right to file the charges and do whatever. Now, if you say you innocent, Shangela, you just show up on your court date, sashay up in there with your evidence or whatever the case was, with your good lawyer, and you have them work it out. Be like, no, you're not going to tarnish my name. But the one thing I do not like, and this is what bothered me about her statement, when talking about the allegations, they are, I'm going to read the part that irritated me. They are personally offensive and perpetuate damaging stereotypes that are harmful not only to me, but also to my entire community. First of all, The entire community didn't allegedly do what you did to this man. So you're not going to lump all of us in there. I know what you're thinking because we're in this political sensitive climate right now where we have politicians trying to cause all this damage to drag queens and prevent them from performing in clubs, which shout out to Sasha Colby for really going down and explaining this because she was on the Today show and she was saying it's not really about drag queens. What they're trying to do is they're trying to police trans women. So you can't go out in public in certain places in drag, but so you can get dressed at the venue, this, that, and the third. But if you go out in the street and you're in your drag, you could be arrested. Sasha Colby lives her life as a trans woman. She's a drag queen, but she's also a trans woman. So she can be affected by that. So I see where Shayla's going with that. She's trying to apparently take this allegation and weaponize it and make it like, how dare you pull this in and make, and we're in such a vulnerable time right now. Dare you bring this in because it makes the whole community look bad? No, it's making you look bad because you are now being accused of something you say you didn't do, and now you have to defend this in court. And let's not try to act like that we don't have people in our community that are abusers, and that when you've had a couple of drinks, that men can be sexually assaulted. That there have been a lot of that going on in our community, and we don't talk about it. We don't talk about gay men getting raped. It happens a lot often than y'all realize. And another thing that bothered me too is the fact that people were going and being like, oh no, Shangela's like but this big. She like 5'1" or 5'2". She like petite. I'm just being dramatic by calling it petite. Petite, P-A-T-E-E-K. Petite. It's like, that don't mean nothing. Because here's the thing I've learned. You will be surprised what people are capable of regardless of the size. You could be the tiniest thing on the planet, but you got some strength like the Hulk. I've seen it. So that height shit don't mean nothing. Y'all think because somebody looks frail or somebody looks a little lily daffodilly and all that other stuff that they're exempt from doing whatever they want to do whenever they want to get some shit done. I'm not necessarily saying that Shangela's guilty. My thing is, let's look at all sides. Let's look at everything. Don't be so quick to just be like, oh, because you like somebody, that they couldn't have possibly have done this. I just don't think it's fair to do that. So I did hit Daniel up because I was like, don't want to do the interview because here's the thing. I'm going to be honest. I wrestled back and forth. He did hit me up 2 weeks before he filed these charges. And he was like, I think I'm ready to do the interview. And at the time, I kind of was wrestling with it. I'm like, is this something I want to take on? Especially because y'all seen the earlier video. All I did was report a story that I had heard that nobody was touching. Except maybe 2 or 3 other people. I do a video and y'all want to come after me for reporting on the story that y'all, because it's one of your favorite queens from Drag Race. I like Shangela too. I've been a fan of hers ever since she walked in that workroom in season 2, but she was the first eliminated. They brought her back in season 3, and I felt like she was robbed for all stars. Now don't get me wrong, I love my Native American sister Trixie, but I do feel like that was Shangela's season to win. So I'm not anti-Shangela. I am a fan based off of what I've seen on TV. But I have heard stories that there's been, when she has a little too much to drink, she could be a little handsy. She could be a tad bit aggressive. I've heard these stories. So like I said, just because you see these people on TV and they act a certain way, we really don't know who these people are and what they're capable of. So anyway, to wrap this up, I spoke to Daniel. I was going back and forth on it. I was like, do I want to do this interview? Or I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just let him deal with what he's dealing with this case. Allegedly times 8. Times 100 and infinity and beyond. I spoke to him and I was like, maybe we should do the interview and this, that, and the third. But then I was like, I didn't know if I don't know. I just wrestled with it. But then something in the back of my mind was like, you know what? Let the courts handle it, and when whatever the verdict is, then we can revisit this conversation. So he literally told me, I believe it was Saturday morning, because technically we in Sunday, that there was no way he can't now, because now everything has to go through his attorneys once he filed the charges. So, and I ain't trying to deal with no lawyers being like, oh, you can't ask this, you can't ask it. So I'll wait. And if DJ, you want to come on this show and tell your side of the story, you can come on too. Turnabout's a fair game. I try to be fair with everybody. I'm not just gonna I'm team this one, team that. I don't play teams. Y'all do that when you're trying to pick out who's gonna win out of your top 4 in Drag Race. Over here, I'm a neutral Nancy because I just want to get to the bottom of things. Because at the end of the day, it's his side, Shangela's side, and then the truth somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to keep you guys abreast of the story as it develops, because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Oh my God, I never really explained what I was sitting and talking all this time. I didn't really explain what he said that happened. You can go on my website and basically read what happened. But basically, to sum it all up, Pierce said that Shangela assaulted him while season 1 of HBO's reality series WeHo was in production 2020. The crew was celebrating the season wrapping. They went out to a restaurant. Pierce was heavily flirtatious with him and was insisting on buying him drinks, despite being informed that McGarrigle did not drink often. So he was a lightweight. But I guess, you're on set, you're trying to please people. And a lot of times we do that. We will go against our own beliefs and ethics because we want to please our bosses. So he downed a couple of, alcoholic beverages, had some shots, this, and the third. He followed the entertainer up to the hotel room because he was going to be helping him pack for an earlier flight. He was going to help Shangela. McGarrigle started feeling nauseous. He was vomiting. Pierce was rubbing his back. Offered him a cup of water. McGarrigle said that he was still, the room was spinning. He didn't feel well. Shangela said, fine, you could just lay down in the bed, and then when you feel better, you can go do what you got to do. McGarrigle laid down on the bed fully clothed. He had his shoes and his socks still on. He allegedly woke to Pierce attempting to assault him, saying that the entertainer overpowered him amid his weak state of inebriation. He also claimed Pierce had poured poppers on his face, burning his eyes and nose. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, poppers is a drug sometimes inhaled by gay men before engaging in anal sex. Sometimes you need to relax and those walls got to open, so if you snort a little poppers, you won't really feel it when it's going in. Now, McGarrigle says the reason why he did not immediately report the incident because he had a fear of losing his job. Because that would have been one of the questions. Why it took you so long? Why now? Now my question's ready. He instead tried to maintain a cordial relationship with DJ despite having to frequently deal with Pierce's alleged inappropriate behaviors. McGarrigle suffered and will continue to suffer economic and non-economic damages, including medical expenses, lost wages, lost earning capacity, and general damages, including but not limited to emotional distress and mental suffering. Now, a spokesperson for We're Here also issued a following statement saying Buckingham Television, a production company for We're Here, received a complaint late summer 2021 regarding an incident that was alleged to have occurred in early 2020. Buckingham and HBO take the safety and well-being of personnel on our shows very seriously. And Buckingham immediately launched the investigation. The investigation concluded that there was insufficient evidence to support these allegations. So it's insufficient. This is why he's now taking it to court. It's like, well, y'all saying that y'all didn't find nothing. Now I have to take it to court, let them deal with it. So hopefully everything works out. Somebody's going to get hurt on either side. I feel bad, but I really don't want this to be true with Shangela. Because like I said, I'm a fan. But, girl, if you did this, got to answer for your crimes. So, yes, we will take a break because I need one. When we come back, because it's been a little heavy, child. Real Friends of WeHo star Joey Zauzig is being slammed by Drag Race queens for continuing to defend his show, that show he was on. We also got a Drag Race producer was fired for, well, they didn't say why they were fired. But then all of a sudden they felt the need to go on Reddit and spill all behind the scenes tea for what went on Drag Race. Mind you, he claims he was told to sign an NDA, but you out here spilling tea. We also got a new drag show that's coming on Hulu that I'm excited about. Drew Barrymore has dropped out of the MTV Movie and TV Awards. We're also going to talk about Russell Tovey saying the response to the show Looking nearly broke him. And we're going to talk about Matthew Lawrence saying his agency fired him because he refused to strip for a famous director. And yeah, Cher broke up with her man because, family concerns, all that good stuff. So don't go away. We're going to take ourselves a little short break. And we'll be right back with more of The Rundown with your host, Chris Avalon.
Talk about who broke. Bitch, I'm throwing money on you right now in this little ass section. You a broke ass bum. Stop playing with me. Look what you have on. Bitch, come that boss on. I wore that 2 years ago, baby. Get your body done. Bitch, like, I'll fuck your man. Spit on me. Spit on me. And I'll beat your ass, bitch.
I gotta spit on me. Oh, please don't. Just let it go. It's okay. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
Fake ass Atlanta hoe. Fake ass Atlanta hoe.
Please, Sean.
Bitch, you from motherfucking Twin. I'm chasing Atlanta. Fuck you talking about? Bitch, chase a check. Chase a check. Chase a check. Chase a check. Bitch, I'll slap you and your grandma, hoe. Yeah. Yeah. Tell your old ass, dead ass grandma come here, I'll slap her, bitch. Yeah. With her dead ass. Don't play with me, hoe.
He's so bad.
Uma porra! O Undie vai ter embora, não tem não!
out on like stuff like that.
I'm glad you asked because I don't think we've like talked about that at all.
Which is usually like in the gay world, the first thing you say is something.
You're like top, bottom, burst, block.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, very flexible. I'm
you gonna get that date?
Not that kind of flexible.
It's coming out. It's coming out.
I enjoy being both dominant and submissive, and I have my seasons, where I want to top.
Catch him on the right day.
I want to get plowed more.
It's RuPaul.
Oh, goodbye.
Oh, hey, bitch. Oh, excuse you. Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry Annie. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. So I go on them clips, Annie. Welcome back to the show, everybody. So let's get right into the next topic. Those are cute little commercials and things that we was playing. So let's get into this Joey Zauzig story. And thank you all who's tuning in and watching. Even though RuPaul's Drag Race has revved up their highest ratings in 3 years, the series didn't go without its series of problems. Now, since moving to MTV back in January, fans of the show, as well as former and current Drag Race queens, expressed their displeasure when the network opted to edit down the series from 90 minutes to an hour in order to push gay reality series Real Friends of WeHo. Cast members such as Todrick Hall and Joey Zauzig hit back at fans, defending the series to anyone who would listen. That, of course, didn't sit well with Drag Race fans, who felt both personalities were coming across a bit tone deaf. Keep in mind, an average of 609,000 people tuned in to each episode last season, and only 29% of the Drag Race audience stuck around to watch Real Friends of WeHo. Zauzig, who was the shit stirrer of the show, felt like Drag Race fans weren't throwing the show's cast members under the bus for MTV's decision to cut 30 minutes off of their favorite show. Now, before we get to the clip, I want to set up this old clip that came out when the show was actually on the air. So he said, "We knew filming the show before we wrapped. We were going to have some hate watches. Our community just does that for these sorts of shows. We knew there was going to be backlash," he said. "But one thing we also knew was the drag community is diehard. You don't want to F with that. So when we found out we were at the Drag Race, we didn't know they never told us they were cutting 30 minutes. We were like, yes, we're at the Drag Race. Then we see all of these petitions and tweets. Who do you think people blamed? The cast." Now, once For Real Friends of WeHo ended its 6-episode run and the remaining episodes of Drag Race went back to its 90-minute runtime, all became right with the big gay universe until a recent video began surfacing on TikTok where Joey Zauzig appeared on Dear Media's Everything is the Best When It's Not the Worst podcast opposite host Pia Barancini. Now, in the clip, Zauzig continues to defend the series, and let's just say gay Twitter was not having time for his shenanigans. What we're going to do is we're going to roll that clip, and then I'm going to basically let y'all know what the Drag Race queens had to say about Joey's tone deaf ass compliment. Roll the clip.
Drag Race people really came for you.
Dude.
And these are people from your own community.
There was a petition of 35,000 people saying, we're not going to watch the show because we want our 30 minutes of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Do these people understand that MTV having a show about only gay men and a very diverse group of gay men is nothing but fabulous for the LGBTQ plus community?
That's what I don't understand.
Also, RuPaul's Drag Race is iconic. It's a part of our culture. It should stay forever. But that's one specific pot of what this community has to offer.
Gay guys, I feel like, have a hard time seeing themselves, where Drag Race is a nice representation of the gay community, but they're in makeup and drag. But when it comes to having a show about 6 gay guys that are doing their thing and working in LA, gay guys don't want to see that. And that's been a problem for decades.
He obviously missed the point in that conversation, but that's why we're going to be here and break it down. So, the person that posted this, because it was on TikTok, but I think it got so much backlash that the person deleted all the TikTok. So luckily it started surfacing on Twitter. You know, on Elon Musk Twitter, that you're not getting rid of that shit that easy. So the person Blaze's account posted, this video has just made me so mad. Now, season 15, so I'm going to read a couple of the tweets that the drag queens from Drag Race actually said. Season 15's top 4 queen Lux Noir London launched the first grenade by tweeting, all that migrated filler really just has such a negative impact on the brain, huh? Season 14 Queen Deja Sky pulled the Kanye and hit back at Joey in all caps, saying, a fake, fragile, and unrealistic group of friends is what we want to see. Be for effing real. The reason Drag Race is a hit is because people can see themselves in us and our struggles, not your vapid conversations. Girl, bye. Fellow season 14 queen Jasmine Kennedy hit Joey with the uppercut, saying, stay pressed with your 20,000 viewer premiere. That show took away from actual artists and people in the community with stories that have actual meaning and impact. The LGBTQIA wants representation in the media that's, in caps, authentically shows them. You, sir, are not that representation. Now, Cornbread and Snack Jete didn't hold back on her series of tweets, reading both Joey and the podcast host who had to look down a few times just to remember the words or the letters to LGBT to Phil, saying, I'd love to come to your podcast and talk specifically to her because the both of these human beings talking sound ignorant. And he couldn't even clear the phlegm out of his throat before spewing low IQ bullet points, but I'll explain why. Number one, we wanted 30 minutes more because they took it away to give it to a cast of perfectly built, muscle-looking people who don't live in WeHo. Bitch, y'all flew them out. Cornbread continues saying, I love, I read that part already. Said, if you really wanted a splash of diversity, where the F was Dexter Mayfield? Someone who actually lives and works and hustles in WeHo. Didn't fit your agenda, huh? And now, people don't know who Dexter Mayfield is. He's this thicker black dude who y'all seen him in a lot of music videos. I think he was even on Drag Race. He, his heavy set dances around shirtless and all other stuff. I think he tried to even audition for Janet's concert or something once upon a time. Like, he's well known in West Hollywood, and I've seen him all over TV. Speaking of which, we was talking about diversity and people of color before. Why didn't they add Dexter Mayfield? Why didn't they add Dexter to the show? He could have been the model. That's like my friend Ray Diesel said, they were looking at the people of color, but he couldn't do it, and other people couldn't, do the thing. But I'm like, you could have put out a ABP and been like, we looking for, an open castle call over some models. I'm sure there's a lot of black people in Hollywood. But I do think that would have been a great idea. Why didn't they look at Dexter Mayfield? He definitely will bring it. Anyway, so Cornbread continued by saying opportunistic, because why else would you want Why else would you come to the Drag Race red carpet? So instead of being ignorant, focus on why y'all kicked someone off the cast because they had an OnlyFans account. Sex work is part of the queer community too. And last but certainly not least, Miss Cuckoo herself, Cynthia Lee Fontaine, weighed in, saying, I strongly support gay representation, but when the representation is not accurate, I will not support. Also for drag, there's limited representation in media now. Why limit this especially, on the times we are living today? We need Drag Race in full force, period. Well, it's not their fault. The fact of the matter is it's the network's fault. Then I put somebody named Pink Giant J. I picked his because I was like, this makes so much sense. He was like, what's wild to me is that after Fire Island flopped so hard and people voiced valid concerns, the same studio thought, well, it didn't work on the East Coast with East Coast men, so let's do the same thing, but in LA and expect it to be different. Cast actual normal people and not famous ones. And this is what I've been saying. This is why it's an issue. Now, here's the thing. For me, I'll speak for me. And I don't know about, I can speak for all gay people, but I'll speak for myself. We do want to see ourselves represented on TV. My issue with Real Friends of WeHo is that they weren't real friends. People had the show, problems with the show filming in West Hollywood because the energy is very elitist. It's unattainable. People feel like they can't relate to the girls in West Hollywood. It feels very exclusive. Like you don't want to bring. It's very much like Steve Rebell, telling you can come in, but you can't come into Studio 54. Feels very much like that. So I totally understand where a lot of people are coming from. West Hollywood can be very intimidating. By the time I lived in LA, I lived in Silver Lake, so it only took me like 30 minutes to get to West Hollywood, maybe less. But there were times where I was out there and I did feel a little intimidated by some of the people that go out there. Now, there are, and I know it's hard for y'all to believe, but I just feel like it's just lazy casting. There are so many interesting queer people in the world with strong personalities that would have entertained the masses more than the vapid queens that y'all picked for Real Friends of WeHo. And I feel like at the end of the day, all we want is good storytelling with queer characters at its center, whether scripted or not scripted. We don't want the fake melodrama. We don't want concocted storylines. We don't want y'all sitting up in here just making up, trying to just force stuff for the sake of ratings. You guys weren't that interested. You need people that's going to have that are gay at their core, but have different backgrounds, different belief systems. You could have somebody who's an atheist, somebody who's uber religious, but gay and struggle with their sexuality. You could have brought that on. Anybody that has a story to tell, you could have looked at the real world. You could have looked at the shows that existed before this instead of ripping off the overall aesthetic of the Real Housewives. Maybe you should just study the formula and look to be like, okay, you take the best parts and you bring it over into your thing. So to me, I just feel like Joey is just tone deaf and just missed the point. Was that people were upset because this is their one show and it's like MTV pulled this stunt where they just went in and you took away from so many of these other girls that could have had screen time and this and another because y'all want to cut a show now and squeeze in your show. You used Drag Race as a springboard to catapult a show that people weren't familiar with. You could have put it on right after Drag Race. People would have watched it. The 90-minute one. And then had Untucked. Or you could have just hoped for that it would be a lead-in. But I guess, the show was doomed for the start. Because when you added Todrick on there, that was already going to be a target on that show's back. Because a lot of people don't like Todrick. So, I watched The Real Friends of WeHo. It was cute. I always try to watch any little thing that is a part of our community, give it a chance. It was stupid. But I was entertained by some of it. There were some people on the show that I liked. What's his name? Curtis. He was the one that had the the only one on there I felt, in my opinion, had a perfect storyline. Everybody else I felt like was self-producing. But I don't know. I look. And here's the thing I noticed too that I almost forgot to bring up. You say all this shit on Drag Race, but you needed Drag Race. You rode the Drag Race's coattails for success, for people to even be aware of your show. First of all, y'all were at the red carpet for the Drag Race season 15 premiere, on the step and repeat, taking your pictures, doing your interviews, all of that stuff. I was there, which is why I was surprised. I'm like, why do y'all have this cast? But then it clicked to me, my marketing brain, which was, so they're trying to lump all this in because they need to promote their new MTV programming. So they promoted that show. Snooki and JY were there. So, of course, Jersey Shore Family Vacation, they got to promote that. And the Queens of Drag Race. So you walk the red carpet and you use that Drag Race show to even bring awareness to your show. Because nobody would have just watched it on their own. But then how MTV went about it, y'all shot yourselves in the foot. So you use them in so many different ways. So yeah, you need Drag Race. So you can't just sit up in here and say all the things you say and then not realize that, yes, you need Drag Race at the end of the day. So I really hope that we can put this story to bed, because I'm tired of from Real Friends of WeHo complaining, or you know what the time frame of that video was. It started surfacing on social media this week, but like I realized before, TikTok has a tendency of finding old stuff and resurfacing it to start drama. Same thing we said before about the whole Madonna Lady Gaga thing. We talked about that in the last show. It was a feud or an interview that she did 7-8 years ago, and y'all bringing it up now and starting up this feud again amongst the women. So hopefully this is the last time we talk about this. I doubt we'll be getting a new season of Real Friends of WeHo. And I said all I need to say about what kind of representation I need. But just so y'all know, next week starts the new season of Drag Race All-Stars. If you got Paramount Plus, you can definitely check it out. Now, speaking of Drag Race, a self-proclaimed Drag Race producer who claims to have been fired from production company World of Wonder is spilling the tea on everything from All Stars 9 and All Winners 2 to season 15 scouted cast members and which queens are banned, plus much more. Now, a long-time understood factor of Drag Race is that what fans see on screen isn't always the truth. Beyond the episodes, claims of everything from production picking their winners to the outset of a season of chopping certain queens in secret abound. So now, the user who goes by the name of ComTart5517 claimed they used to work for WoW and having now been fired, was taking the opportunity to spill all the beans online. Now, he did say he signed an NDA. Don't be shocked if they sue your ass if this is true. It's what the anonymous user wrote. I was just fired from World of Wonder after 10 plus loyal years. And then went on to promise to answer all the questions they could about Drag Race and beyond, despite having signed a NDA with a non-disclosure agreement. World of Wonder is so ungrateful for all the work I've done for them, they said. Ask me anything and I'll try to answer the best I can. Be mindful that even production has to sign an NDA, but I will answer your questions to the best of my ability. So, we already know that multiple eliminations are filmed watching the show, because Willem revealed this on Race Chaser. You know, now the whistleblower revealed that Anitra was supposed to be eliminated during the Rubik's, and the top two was going to be Mistress and Sasha, but Ruth stepped in early or during the talks of it. They said, and then someone asked about who makes the decisions, and the producer said it's solely Ruth's decision who goes home / wins or productions. That's what they want to know, who makes the decision. The user said, funny you mentioned this, but Ru is a producer on the show. We know this, an executive producer. Sometimes other producers will tell her who should go home for plot, but overall, Rue gets the final say. The former show insider also claimed that twin Sugar and Spice, and eventual winner Sasha Colby, along with top 4 finalist Luxmore London, were scouted. They clarified that this did not mean invited to submit an audition, but rather an outright invitation, based on their reputation. Now, the season 14 featured a controversial twist, and when they had the chocolate bar, so they talked about that. And they were saying, was it rigged from the start? The twist say Bosco after a poor performance on that season's Rusical Challenge. Fans had questions over the season's Snatch Game episode, and they said that every queen except Deja Sky having to participate in the lip sync Lollapalooza in the following episode because of poor performances. At least that's what the production wants us to think. Aside from answering whether the particular twist was planned from the start of the season, which they said it was, producers also responded to whether season 14 Snatch Game was really that bad, and they said no, Willow and Bosco had them dying. So it goes on and on and on and on and on. They said that Alyssa Edwards, they're looking at her to appear on Global All-Stars. There's a couple of names I've heard too, but Alyssa Edwards is pretty busy doing other reality shows. Yeah, someone definitely is about to get a lawsuit because you out here spilling show tea. They also said that Bianca and Bob, as in Bianca Del Rio and Bob the Drag Queen, are 2 names being thrown around for next winter's season. But that's obvious that Bob and Bianca's names will be thrown around because they weren't on last season's all-winner season. They said that despite Series 2 of Drag Race UK being widely regarded as one of the best seasons of all time, there's allegedly some concern over the franchise's future, saying it may not exist past Series 6. If Season 5 does bad, it's over. Well, to be quite honest, a lot of these drag spinoffs just aren't that interesting to me. I don't really watch a lot of the spin-off shows. I do watch Spain. There's a couple of them I've checked out, but I've never really been like a hardcore fan. And so the Kiss of Death, every competitor for at least a few seasons of The Hollowed, You Were Born to Do Drag, from Rue, Georges, Crystal Versace, and Anitra are all recent recipients. On that subject, one Reddit user asks, is RuPaul just making choices based on how she feels, or does producing sometimes overrule legitimate performances for creating drama or storyline? Example, the Sugarcane or Rock'em Sakura eliminations and placements, or Georges' design challenge win. The account that commented, Georges was Rue's doing, talking about the Queen's controversial victory in season 14's Ball Challenge. Storyline is more so production. Rue often wants the right people to win. Excuse me. This is what Calm Tart alleged. Now, someone also asked, were there ever any queens that production planned to go far in the competition who ended up being eliminated earlier for reasons behind the scenes? And the Reddit person answered, I'll just say this, Widow in season 2, as in Widow Von Du, referring to the fan favorite who was eliminated in 7th place. Elsewhere in season 9 and All Stars 4, Valentina was allegedly planning to go further too. She was sensationally eliminated in season 9 for not knowing her lip sync words and then chopped on All Stars 4. They also claimed that Thorgy, Coco, and Jiggly were set up to fail in their seasons. It was also alleged that staff knew Jinx during season 5 and Violet in season 7 were examples of a queen pushed to be the winner by production. On the flip side, season 12 victor Jada Essence Hall was revealed as the most unexpected winner who defied production's plans and riggory. They also asked, which queens are banned from Drag Race actually being a part of ever returning? Tyra. They said, as of this moment, only Tyra, as in King Tyra, aka Tyra Sanchez, or the artist formerly known as Tyra Sanchez. They also said Sharon Needles and Sherry Pie are 100% banned from returning to the Drag Race arena. You know, we already know what happened with Tyra because I already talked about a couple of weeks ago her controversial antics and this, that, and the third. Sharon Needles is no longer being part of the show because basically they said she's a racist and never publicly commented on the 2021 allegations of abusing a 15-year-old fan. And we already know the tea about Sherry Pie, who was disqualified from season 12 after being accused of catfishing multiple men for degrading and explicit videos. Now, according to the account, Productions said they really did not know until someone spoke up and was shitting bricks about the Sherry scandal. Don't they really do background checks and stuff on these people before they come on? But anyway, it goes on and on and on. I don't want to be all day talking about that, but for the for the reality, I'll say this: to me personally, these things I've already heard in some sort of capacity, but I choose to take this story with a grain of salt. Or a little pinch of salt, because I don't know, you've got to really be out of your mind to get fired from World of Wonder and to go on and spill beans on Reddit. To me, it's like, as a business person, I would never want to trust you, because it's like, well, even if I make you sign an NDA, you still gonna start telling personal stuff. So you guys can believe that or you want. Let me know if you believe a lot of these stories and the topics. Me, I choose to be like, you know what, it's cute or whatever, but I take it with a grain of salt. Now, speaking of which, Hulu's got a new drag show coming up called Drag Me to Dinner. Now, this is coming from Entertainment Weekly because the show is a cross between, it's like a cooking show or a culinary art show, like something you see on the Food Network mixed with drag. So Neil Patrick Harris and Bianca Del Rio will be joined by fellow head judge Hanifa Wood, host Murray Hill, and resident food expert David Burka, aka Neil's husband. So we out here giving our husbands jobs. Let me finish. According to the show's 10-episode run, each episode features a fun competition between two pairs of drag performers from all sectors of the industry, including fan favorites RuPaul's Drag Race and Boulet Brothers' Dragula, as well as other drag legends and political activists. The series also welcomes one of the final performances from Heklina, the renowned drag artist who died on April 3rd. Yeah, I definitely saw her. So they have, okay, so let me go down the list and tell you who's going to be in the teams. So Alexis Mateo and her daughter, Vanessa Vanjie Mateo, are going to be paired up. You got Gigi Good and Simone from their seasons. Willem and Alaska, so Willem and Alaska Thunderfuck. Darren Lake and Miss Kasha Davis were both on All Stars 8. Now they're coming together for this show. Gingerman, Janina West, perfect. I like that overall look. Heklina and Peaches Christ. So there's going to be drag queens in here. It's a mixture of local queens or well-known queer icons within our community, and some of the favorite drag queens you've seen on TV. So Heklina and Peaches Christ, two queens that it's like, yeah, I'm familiar with them. Then you have Heidi N Closet and Jada Essence Hall, Kiki Ballchange and Thorgy Thor. Kiki Ballchange has never been on any of the drag shows, but she's a local girl. Jinx Monsoon and Ben Della Creme, Meatball and Bitch Puddin'. Now, Meatball and Bitch Puddin' were on Dragula. Kimchi and Naomi Smalls, Mary Cherry and Pixie Aventura. Mary Cherry is from, she's a New York queen, which hence why Pixie would be a part of the show. Pixie's well known within the drag community in New York. She's up there with like Britta, except I hope they don't give her the Britta edit if she ever comes on. We are dragged out. I'm dragged out, child. So Pixie is someone who works very much in New York. Mary Cherry was on Dragula and is a Brooklyn queen. Morgan McMichaels and Mayhem Miller. Then we have Peaches Iman Cummings and Marty Gould Cummings. Marty Gould Cummings is a political drag queen. And I'm assuming Peaches Iban is her drag daughter. So it makes sense that she would be on, I guess Bring Her On. Latrice Royale and Manila Luzon, we know these two are like thick as thieves when it comes to like drag friendships. And then we have Raja and Detox, Rhea Latre and Jasmine Rice LaBeija. Jasmine's another New York queen. Rhea Latre is an LA queen. Salmonella and Chelsea Piers. Chelsea Piers was actually on the same show as Marty Gould Cummings and Britta Filter. They were on this drag queen reality show that I forget what network it was on, but it lasted one season. And then we have Salmonella, which is a perfect drag name though. Sherry Vine and Jackie Beat, two besties out of, I remember when I moved out to LA, Sherry had just moved out to LA. And Jackie Beat, shout out to her. She just did I don't know how long it's going to last. I think it's supposed to be like a week or a couple of days. Jackie Beat just did a musical version of Who's the Boss. And I've been posting the clips and stuff on my social media, and everybody's been loving it. Danny Pintaro is actually in it playing a gayed up Jonathan, who was already gay when he was on the show. He's never said he was. But, as funny as it can be, from the clips I've seen, it looks hilarious. I wish it would have came to New York, like Dang and Ardisio, somebody would have picked it up and brought it to New York as like a little brief run somewhere, like on Fire Island or something. I definitely wouldn't want to go see that. And last but certainly not least, we got Trinity the Tuck and BB Zahara Benet. So I'll definitely check the show out because anything that's a mixture of like dragon food, I definitely want to see it. It looks like a pretty good time and a pretty good show. Okay, so now the MTV Movie and TV Awards is set to air in a couple of hours. It is Sunday, technically, as I'm recording this. But because of the writer's strike, they're now hostless as actress and talk show host Drew Barrymore has pulled out in order to stand in solidarity with the writer's strike. She said she'll return in 2024 once the strike is over. And they said they're changing it up, that they evolve day to day. Producers are trying to figure out how to make this whole situation work. I heard it's not going to be live. It's going to be pre-recorded now. And they're using a lot of footage and stuff, having people pre-tape things. And it's just crazy. Now, I'm going to read a quote that Barrymore said in her statement. She says, I have listened to the writers. In order to truly respect them, I will pivot from hosting the MTV Movie and TV Awards live in solidarity with the strike. Is what she said in the statement. Everything we celebrate and honor about movies and television is born out of their creation. And until a solution is reached, I am choosing to wait, but I'll be watching from home and hope you will join me. I thank MTV, who has truly been some of the best partners I've ever worked with, and I can't wait to be a part of this next year, when I can truly celebrate everything that MTV has created, which is a show that allows fans to choose and who the awards go to and who is truly inclusive. Well, I would definitely. I don't even know at this point if I want to watch the MTV Movie and TV Awards. They don't even know at this point which talent is going to attend or not. Like, there's a lot of people who's scheduled to present, such as Tiffany Haddish, Jamie Lee Curtis, Dave Bird, Lil Dicky, Gal Gadot, Rodrigo Santoros, and Sarah Michelle Gellar. Also, Transformers Ride of the Beast stars Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback. Yellow Jacket stars Courtney Eaton, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Liv Hewson, Samantha Henratty, Sophie Nelise, and Sophie Thatcher. And Joyride stars Ashley Park, Sabrina Wu, and Sherry Cola. So we'll see how all this works out as it develops. Good luck, Drew. I don't know. I guess I'll catch the highlights on TV. Okay, so let's talk about this Russell Tovey story. So now, out actor Russell Tovey is finally opening up about his experience on the short-lived HBO series Looking. The actor, who's 41, played Jonathan Groff's boss-turned-lover Kevin, says that the response from locals, the show, which is about a group of gay friends in San Francisco and was shot on location, by the way, about the show nearly broke him. Speaking to The Independent, Tovey mentioned the project while discussing taking on gay roles, as well as looking. Tovey has starred in as gay characters for years and years, Pride, The Past, and American Horror Story NYC most recently. The Attitude Award winner has previously said that he was sad the series had such a limited run and would like to bring it back. He was also disappointed by the lackluster response to the show's debut in 2014, saying the critical narrative at the beginning was that nothing much happened in it, that it was too boring, but it was just real life. Tovey recalled filming season San Francisco for season 2 and being recognized by locals. They'd say, "You're in Looking, but I have not watched it. I've heard it's boring." They hadn't even seen it. And it's about you in your city filming outside your coffee shop and you're not even intrigued to watch it. It really, really frustrated me. It broke me, honestly. If the show came out now, I'd have a completely different response. He also talked about the impact of shows like Heartstopper and Glee have had for younger generations of LGBTQ people, saying if we had them shows when I was growing up, I would have felt a bit better about myself. I'm so proud of the way the world is now. For young kids to be able to say, cool, I'll watch Glee tonight and then go to a gay bar. There is an incredible gift that has been handed down, but we must pay respect and remember where that gift came from. And this is what I've always reiterated over the years, is the fact that, yeah, we're pretty much happy that we're getting all these things, because if it wasn't for those who pushed forward to get their products out there for you to watch, there would be no Glee, there would be no Heartstopper, there wouldn't be any of these other shows that have come out that feature a gay cast. And my overall frustration is the fact that, yeah, we create shows. Y'all say that y'all don't want the stereotypes. You don't want the at the time before this show was created, there was the A-list in 2010, which would be similar to Real Friends WeHo. A lot of people felt like it was just shallow, vapid representation of it. It wasn't a representation. They give you Looking, you don't watch it because it's boring. I didn't think it was boring. I thought it was something, it was a little too realistic in a lot of situations. It's like y'all talk about, oh yeah, cast people on these shows that are regular workers, that are adopting children, that are doing all these little things. We had a show that was kind of playing into that, and y'all didn't support it because y'all said it was boring. So what do gays get to be? Do we get to be the fun, sassy stereotype that y'all always think that we're all about? Or do you want to see regular gay people living their normal lives, but it's just being captured on a scripted TV show? It's a question we have to ask. And yet in the article that I was writing, Russell did a separate interview, in the Independent about his fear of death growing up during the AIDS crisis. Saying, as a gay person, you're so closely linked to death. When I came out at the age of 18 in 1999, the first thing people thought was, you've got to protect yourself. You can get HIV. This wasn't that long ago. By 1994, AIDS-related illnesses have become the leading cause of death for Americans aged between 25 and 44. And by 1999, the World Health Organization, as in WHO, that's what we call it for short, had announced HIV/AIDS was the 4th biggest killer worldwide across all ages. And here's what he continued by saying, I've been thinking about dying in a really painful way from the age of effing 12. If you're a queer person of a certain generation, you think about death daily. Every time you go to bed with someone, there's a potential that there could be one person who makes you sick. That's what was in my mind. And, I totally get where he's coming from with that. It's like when I was growing up in the 90s, that was a fear of mine too. Every time I was having sex with someone unprotected or protected, felt like I was, more or less so unprotected, there was that Russian roulette vibe. That it's like at any moment you could probably get it. And that was a big fear that we all thought of at the back of our minds. We weren't entirely liberated and free. We were little by little, but for the most part, there was that dark cloud of, HIV and AIDS over our heads. So while we were out doing our dirt, we were scared too. And here's the thing, to wrap this story up, I feel like what people need to do is stop going by what other people think and experience it for yourself. If you hear a show is boring, you know what, you go, you know what, I'm gonna try it, I'm gonna watch it and see what it is, if it's good or not. If it's not, then I'll turn it off. But I'm not gonna allow people to dictate, what I watch and what I don't watch. I just started revisiting Looking. I started watching it because I was like, it inspired me to watch it, but I'm watching a lot of old games, so I'm rewatching Noah's Ozark. I'm watching Queer as Folk, the original, not this remake trash. And I started rewatching Looking, and I'm like, I don't think I was ready for it in 2014. I mean, I watched all the episodes and I support it, but understanding a lot of the conversations that they were talking about, I wasn't going through a lot of that when they did that season 1. So it's interesting. So good luck to you, Russell. And like I said, people, go out there and make your own decisions. Stop letting other people dictate what y'all watch and what y'all don't watch. Oh yeah, I was yawning. Child, I am exhausted. I've been up since 6 this morning. But we're gonna power through this show, child. We got 2 more topics. One of being Matthew Lawrence, so we're gonna get to that one because I initially wanted to talk about this last week, but I had so much on the docket. I was like, I'm not gonna bring this up. So I literally wrote it last Saturday when the story first dropped. So I was like, I'll save it for the next show, and here we are. So actor Matthew Lawrence is spilling tea about the Me Too movement and the dark side of Hollywood, and said his agency fired him after he refused to take off his clothes for award-winning director. Now, shout out to Variety for this story. On the April 28th episode of his podcast Brotherly Love, co-hosted by his brothers, fellow actors Joey and Andrew Lawrence, excuse me, the 43-year-old actor recounts his experiences refusing to engage with a director involved with a Marvel project who asked Lawrence to take his clothes off during a meeting. There's been many times in my life where I've been propositioned to get a huge role, Lawrence says of the podcast. I lost my agency because I went to the hotel room where the actor alleges a prominent director showed up in his robe, asked me to take off my clothes, and he needed to take Polaroids of me and said if I did X, Y, and Z, I would be the next Marvel character. Lawrence alleges that his agency, which he did not identify by name, ended up firing him because he left the hotel room. A representative for the actor was not immediately available for comment. Now, wait, hold on, what happened? Oh. Now, Lawrence began, he's been acting for a long time. He's been acting since age of 4, but all the Lawrence brothers have pretty much been acting since they were kids. Joey, Andy, and Matthew. He was on Boy Meets World. He was in Miss Doubtfire. He did the sitcom Brotherly Love, which is, basically named after which they named their podcast. That's when they had the sitcom on the WB with the brothers. But one of the things I love that he pointed out in the whole conversation about Me Too and talking about his experience was the fact that we definitely need more men to come out and talk about this in the industry. In regards to the fact, yeah, we know not many men experience the ounce of abuse that a woman does. However, that doesn't take away from the fact that it does happen. And men should be able to tell their side of the story as well and not be clowned and made fun of, which is what y'all did with Terry Crews. Now, regardless of how y'all feel about Terry Crews and certain things he says and the cooning and buffooning, that aside, the man was assaulted and groped by an agent. And when men tell you, stuff, believe it. And it goes back to, hold on. It goes back to the same thing earlier. I was talking about Shangela. And, she's too small. She couldn't have overpowered that man. They look at Terry Crews being this big, muscular, jack black dude. Oh, I don't believe that. That can't be possible. You're like this big, giant guy. Like you're like Michael Clark Duncan size? You like the size of Godzilla. We supposed to believe that this man groped you and you ain't do nothing? First of all, he was someone who was very powerful in the industry. And if you go off smacking people and popping off, you can be blackballed. But I do think, like, you know what? Matthew was a good-looking guy. So I can see why, especially as a child actor, these perverted-ass people would be going after him in this manner. But I'm glad that Matthew stood on his principles. Like, no, you're not going to do that. You're not going to take advantage of me. And the role ain't that, the role ain't that important for you to be getting your jollies off on scandal, pictures of me scantily clad in sexual suggestive pictures, poses or whatever for your pleasure. And the sad part is the agency is supposed to have the back of their client, but y'all selling out your own clients for a little fee. To me, it's not right. And it's crazy that y'all would do that. But I'm glad that he stood on his principle. And I really wish that more men would speak out. But the fact of the matter is, when men speak out about these things, y'all clown them. Y'all clown Terry Crews when he spoke out. So how can men speak up when there's still this stigma around us that we got to man up, take it on the chin, deal with it? Or you should have did this, you should have did that. And it's like, stop telling people how they should react to abuse. If y'all need some help. So kudos to you, Matthew. I'm his issues and had temptation and the notorious pool parties and the young boys and all that other stuff. Yeah, I've heard the stories. So I don't know. It could be Bryan Singer. That would be the obvious choice, but I don't know. If he ain't saying it, we're just going to have to just continue to speculate. All right, so now let's get to our final topic, which is basically Cher is a single woman. I remember when I was first writing this, I wrote it as it is, and I didn't even feel like going in and changing it because literally after I posted an hour later, they said she broke up with Alexander Edwards, who's a music producer. And the reason why they're saying that Cher has cut off what's going on with Alex is because her family has grown overly concerned with Cher's decision making and feels like that Alex has his eyes set on her multi-million-dollar fortune. Now, according to Radar Online, for a while, Cher followed this guy around like a lovesick puppy, but the blinders seem to be coming off. This is what an insider said. And another source said Cher's starting to see Alexander in a different light. They were trying to say that they were still together, but they pumped the brakes. But no, I got a thing where it said that they officially broke up, like they're done. The legendary entertainer who turned 77 on May 20th was recently caught on camera in LA with no sign of the massive diamond ring given by Edwards, who was 37. Cher first flaunted the sparkler in December, but some speculated she paid for the rock with her own cash. Since the Oscar winner hooked up with the Oakland native after meeting him last fall in Paris, sources said that she's been spoiling her sweetie rotten, sparking concern among her inner circle. Cher has always been so careful about her money, but she was throwing it at this guy and funding his over-the-top lifestyle. However, sources say the pop legend is finally getting a message from worried pals and concerned kids Chaz Bono, who's 54, and Elijah Blue Allman, who's 46, who feared the flashy musician man has his eyes on their inheritance. Sources say Edwards has a strong influence over Cher, who revealed her intention to record 2 albums under his direction. The girl don't do it. They said sources said that Cher's passion cooled off as she started to see their relationship as one-sided, grew annoyed with his suspicious behavior, and chafed at his bossy attitude in the recording studio. AE's always inviting his friends over for parties, and he goes missing and doesn't want to answer his phone, said a source. Another insider says Edwards failed to respect Cher's decades of experience in the industry. AE wasn't even born when Sonny and Cher were topping the charts in the 60s. Things didn't go so well when he started barking orders in the studio, and as he does with younger artists. Sources said at the time the couple spent together caused Cher to realize their different interests and the 40-year age gap. I don't even know why this is even a story. Like, first of all, we all knew that this wasn't gonna last. Ma'am, you are in her. How old is Cher? I know I said her age earlier. 77. She's gonna be turning on May 20th. And Alex is 37. So you have a 40-year age gap. What were y'all thinking you were going to have in common with him? They're going to wipe the car away with something cootie cat? Like, I love Cher. She is an icon. She's an Oscar winner, damn it. But we gotta call a spade. You should have just kept him as like your little boy toy. Like, y'all were just having a little fun. Y'all were hunching. That you don't want to be like, that's my man. We engaged. This, that, and the third. I never really got anything genuine to come from him. I always felt like there was some deep-rooted intentions behind his behavior. And it's sad that, all these older women want to go around and just find love as someone who cares about them and someone who wants to spend quality time with them. And then when you finally get it, it's sort of like, what are your intentions? Just like Madonna. Madonna's in a relationship with a much younger man, a boxer. I know she's been through many of these relationships where she's been going after younger men also. And I think Cher's always dated younger men. Or even married younger men. But, it's sad, but you know what, girl? You'll be fine. Just channel it into your new album, whatever sound you plan on releasing with that record. But anyway, we have come to the end of the show. Thank you all for tuning in and watching this week's episode of The Rundown. Tune in next week for a brand new episode. It's going to be a finale next week because I'm going to be taking 2 weeks off. I'll probably be moving and a bunch of other stuff that's been going on. And then when we come back after the finale next week, we will officially be launching Chris Avalon Unfiltered, which y'all been seeing splattered throughout the show in the previews, like when we do the commercials and stuff. So once again, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. And yes, please tune in for next week's season finale episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. And until next time, ciao, darlings. bitch. Oh, excuse you. Baloney wash. I'm annoyed. I'm just here to give my opinion and carry in. Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch.